This is World Report Today. I'm your correspondent with a comprehensive international update on the continuing global reaction to developments surrounding the case of convicted financier Jeffrey Epstein. Tonight, media organizations across North America, Europe, the Middle East, and Asia are leading with renewed scrutiny of court filings, institutional accountability, and the broader implications of the Epstein network. Electronic media platforms, including 24-hour cable channels, independent digital outlets, and investigative podcasts, are dedicating extended coverage to what analysts describe as a pivotal moment in the long-running fallout from one of the most controversial criminal cases in modern history. Epstein, who was arrested in 2019 on federal sex trafficking charges and later died in custody at a federal detention center in New York, remains at the center of ongoing legal, political, and institutional debates. His death, ruled a suicide by the New York City Medical Examiner, did not end public interest. Instead, it intensified global questions about accountability, transparency, and the extent of his associations with high-profile individuals. International broadcasters are reporting that newly unsealed documents and continued civil litigation have reignited public discussion. Major outlets in the United States are analyzing court transcripts and deposition materials connected to Epstein's longtime associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, who was convicted in 2021 on federal charges related to sex trafficking and sentenced to prison. Maxwell's appeals process and related legal filings continue to draw coverage, particularly in the United Kingdom, where public interest remains high due to her British background. In London, several national newspapers and electronic media networks are revisiting questions about elite networks and alleged abuse of power. Coverage frequently references a 2019 interview conducted by the BBC's Newsnight program with Prince Andrew, an interview that generated intense scrutiny and ultimately led to the Duke of York stepping back from public royal duties. Though Prince Andrew has denied wrongdoing and reached a civil settlement in a lawsuit filed by Virginia Giuffre without admitting liability, the case continues to shape media narratives regarding institutional response and reputational damage. Across Europe, commentators are framing the Epstein developments within a broader conversation about financial secrecy, offshore wealth structures, and regulatory oversight. Financial analysts interviewed on international business channels note that Epstein's past associations with banking institutions and investment firms have prompted internal reviews and compliance reforms. While no sweeping new charges have emerged against major financial corporations directly tied to his crimes, the reputational impact has been substantial. Meanwhile, in the United States, cable networks and digital investigative platforms are devoting prime-time segments to reviewing the timeline of Epstein's arrest, detention, and death at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan. The facility itself has undergone structural and administrative reforms following investigations by the Department of Justice Inspector General, who cited multiple failures in protocol the night Epstein died. The findings continue to be cited by commentators questioning systemic weaknesses within federal detention oversight. Social media platforms and streaming outlets are also playing a major role in shaping public discourse. Documentary series, including the widely viewed production by Netflix, have introduced the case to younger global audiences. The blending of traditional investigative journalism with long-form documentary storytelling has amplified survivor voices, while also fueling online speculation. Electronic media analysts observe that the Epstein case represents a watershed moment in the digital era of news. Unlike past scandals confined largely to print headlines and scheduled broadcasts, this case has unfolded in real time across platforms. Hashtags trend globally within minutes of court document releases. Legal experts host live stream breakdowns. Independent journalists publish annotated court records. The speed of information flow has both informed and complicated public understanding. In Israel and parts of the Middle East, coverage has periodically referenced Epstein's reported connections to former political leaders and academics, though no criminal charges have emerged from those associations. Regional outlets emphasize the geopolitical dimensions of elite networking, while cautioning against unverified claims circulating online. In Asia, particularly in India and Japan, English-language news channels are covering the story from the perspective of legal precedent and international justice cooperation. Analysts note that the Epstein investigations require coordination between federal prosecutors, international law enforcement agencies, and financial monitoring bodies. Back in the United States, political reaction remains divided. Some lawmakers continue to call for full transparency regarding sealed records, flight logs, and investigative files. Others warn against politicizing an already complex criminal matter. Congressional committees have periodically discussed oversight reforms aimed at preventing similar abuses of detention protocol and ensuring accountability in high-profile cases. Victim advocacy groups, whose voices were initially overshadowed during early phases of case, are now central to many international broadcasts. Survivors and their attorneys have emphasized that the story is not solely about powerful individuals, but about systemic exploitation and justice for victims. Civil settlements have resulted in significant financial compensation for some survivors, though many advocates stress that legal closure does not equate to emotional resolution. Legal scholars interviewed on global networks explain that the Epstein case continues to evolve through civil litigation involving financial institutions accused of facilitating or failing to report suspicious transactions. Several banks have reached substantial settlements without admitting wrongdoing. These developments are closely monitored by regulatory authorities worldwide, who are reassessing compliance frameworks to detect potential trafficking-related financial activity. Meanwhile, conspiracy theories persist across certain digital communities, particularly regarding the circumstances of Epstein's death. Federal investigators maintain that no evidence has substantiated claims of homicide, but skepticism remains among segments of the public. Media literacy experts caution viewers to differentiate between verified reporting and speculative content amplified through algorithm-driven platforms. International press freedom organizations have also commented on the case as an example of investigative journalism's role in exposing abuse. Early reporting by major newspapers helped bring renewed attention to Epstein's prior 2008 plea agreement in Florida, which had allowed him to serve minimal jail time under a controversial non-prosecution agreement. That earlier arrangement has since been widely criticized and re-examined. As electronic media continues wall-to-wall analysis, one theme remains consistent. The Epstein case has become a touchstone for discussions about power, privilege, accountability, and the responsibilities of institutions entrusted with justice. From New York to London, from streaming platforms to parliamentary debates, the reverberations are ongoing. For survivors, advocates say, the focus must remain on preventing future exploitation. For lawmakers and regulators, the challenge is implementing structural reforms. And for media organizations worldwide, the responsibility is clear: to report accurately, verify rigorously, and avoid sensationalism while covering a story that has already generated profound public mistrust. This has been a World Report Today International Media Update on the continuing global impact of the Jeffrey Epstein case. We will continue to monitor legal developments, institutional reforms, and international reaction as new information becomes available. I'm your correspondent. Stay with us for further updates as this story continues to unfold across the world stage.